I work more hours, which means my wife is with my kids more hours in a day than I am. Not like it's not a huge gap the way it is in some families. No, but you don't want to be the
thing where you're coming home like, hey, let me tell you a fucking thing or two about raising a kid, okay, you fucking piece of shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's record the intro now.
So what did Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
Two dads, we love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey, Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey,
Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Max coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take.
All right, Matt, we are live via satellite back at you. Here we go. This episode came to the Milkless desk from Maddie Maddie Snailer, the snail, the nail.
Do you want to start over? Do you want another try at it?
Why? Because I called you snail.
That's the worst. I've had hundreds of nicknames in my life, and that's the nadir.
Listen, that was Max GPT had a fucking bug. But no, I like it. The snail.
I don't.
So, well, no one likes. I can't imagine anyone would like that as a nickname.
You're slow, wet, and kind of viscous. That's what you're telling me. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you had a really good idea, really good topic of, sometimes when we as parents, as dads, maybe don't nail it, and then the vice versa. Sometimes when our partner doesn't nail it, how do you handle that moment? Really, really interesting topic. I love to dive into this. Matt, how do you want to get into it?
Yeah. It's kind of an awkward moment. And I've definitely been on both ends of this where it's like you see your spouse like starting to get into it with your kid. Or the other night at bedtime, I just like had an idea of how my night was going to go. I was going to get my daughter to bed. I was going to do this. I was going to do this. And then my daughter just wouldn't go to bed. And I just handled it poorly. And I was all mad at her and turned up. And my wife, ultimately, my wife got her to bed. And then the next day I came to my wife and I was just like, yeah, that argument was 90% on me. And my wife just very kindly was like, yeah, I got a feeling that maybe there was a little bit of that going on. But there is this awkward moment when you see that happen and then your kid comes to you and is like, mommy's being an asshole. They don't ever say that. But one time recently I was out in my office working and my oldest daughter comes in and she goes, mommy and sister are so fucking rude. And I was like, whoa, it's amazing.
That's great.
And I always feel, and this is kind of what I want to talk about, there's kind of two parts that I want to talk about. One is how do you handle that with your kid? Because I do think the united front with your spouse is I really believe in that shit. And then how do you handle that with your spouse? If at all, if you've seen them or if you've been on the flip side of that, because certainly this goes both ways. How do you handle that with your spouse where you see something that you didn't do great there? Because you're also, there's the united front and you never want to undermine your partner as a co-parent. My wife is a great parent, but also you don't want to abandon your child if you see something that's that sucks for them. So let's start by maybe if you're coming in with your kid and your kid has just had a bad moment with your wife that you don't think was all on your kid. How are you handling that with your kid, that balancing act?
Well, there's a lot of different options. I mean, one, there's the tap out. So if you can get in and same thing, sometimes my wife taps me out. I've had it where I think there is also this weird dynamic. Don't let me forget the original question. Let me just sidebar really quick. There's this weird dynamic where when one parent is starting to get a little spicy, the other one yangs. One yins, one yangs. It's it's very rare for two parents to both be spicing at the same time.
That's
it's
true.
always one starts to go up and the other one takes the other side and is more the advocate. I'm the fucking, the defense attorney here. I'm the appointee. I guess it's me. But so one is the tap out of just hey babe, let me take it from here. I got it. If anything ever actually crosses that line of a yell that is unwarranted, look, if a kid, is being kind of bad and then they kind of drop a plate because we asked them 4 times, please don't hold the plate with one hand. please don't hold up, and then they drop it. It's like, okay, the yell, it's like, good.
Yeah. Somebody needed to. Now I can be the yang.
If it's not one of those where one of us, the parent, is stressed out for work, didn't get sleep, blah blah, and then it's like, you crossed a little bit of the standard deviation of it's kind of. My wife's done this to me. I've done it to her. This is dangerous, but mommy, you're gonna need to apologize to the kids for that one.
Interesting. In
front of them. If it's like. And then it's like, same thing. She said it to me, Daddy, not, Daddy. And it's like, hey, sorry guys. Like, okay, Daddy, why don't you go take a little nap? Why don't you go, read a little, go in the bedroom for 20 minutes. Why don't you go take whatever, if it's because of exhaustion or if it's because of just work, like, why don't you go work for a little bit? Like
or it's just, you've been with the kids for 4 straight hours and you just ran out of
right.
Goodwill.
So but if it's really egregious, I don't know. I kind of like not being like afraid of one of the parents where it could be like, oh, Daddy just yelled or Mommy just yelled. So it's like, oh, okay. Like we're all now afraid or something. You know what I mean? So if it's really egregious, it's nice to have that thing where if you have that relationship with the partner to be like, oh, that one's not okay. All right, let's apologize to the family, because we make the kids apologize.
Sure. Yeah.
If it's but that's a tough one. Yeah,
we don't really have that dynamic.
I've only done that, we've probably only done that to each other 4 times.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to say sorry in front of the.
Yeah. Yeah. We will do, I think the closest we will get to that is like the non-consensual swoop in tap out. Like, cause a lot of times if we can see it going that way, we'll just be like, why don't you let me, like, you seem kind of out of gas. Let me just when it's really going wrong, sometimes it's like you just come in and pick up the kid and then just kind of go to the other room. But I've never done the full call out. Normally that's like, because I have a lot of faith that she's going to, and that she's going to come back later and be like, I blew that.
The other time is it's only happened publicly maybe once. The other times it's like, okay, sidebar. Hey, I'd go throw an apology on them. It's like, really? It's like, it's almost like a drunk person. Like when you're really angry, it just seems so
reasonable.
And then it's like, no, I throw an apology on that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, really? Okay. Like that. So there's that. The other thing is like that you made me think of is like, it's similar to rupture and repair and then like explaining the situation. So sometimes if like my partner who kind of rarely explodes, like I'm more the exploder. But when she does and she's stressed out, it's usually like there's a pattern of something where it's like, guys, it's not always their fault, but like they contributed to it. So I'm like, guys, let's just go through it. Like, look what mommy's dealing with. Like mommy's, and I'll like sit them all down, because no one likes when a parent is mad. But I'll be like, guys, look, so mommy went to the grocery store, does this all the time. Like, she does not playing outside. I'm playing with you. I get to play with you. She's at the grocery store, getting all stressed out, but not getting stressed out, but she's getting the groceries. She's coming home. You guys all said you wanted grilled cheese. Like, she went out specifically, went around, made all these grilled cheese, did all these things. Then she comes home. She asks you not to like spoil your appetite because she's making you grilled cheeses. And then you went ahead and did this, blah, blah, blah. And then you said it kind of in a rude way. You guys were like, we don't want grilled cheese. And I know that you guys are like just kids and stuff, but like, how do you think that might feel for mommy? Like, it doesn't make it okay that she like got mad or yelled or whatever, but like, do you see it? And they're like, yeah, we do. Like, do you see it? Like, okay. So I help with the rupture and repair. And then if it was like crossing a line, I'll be like, yeah, babe, I'd go throw an apology on that. And then she'll want, hey guys, like, sorry about that. But like, it's just.
Do you ever like, I think that all that sounds great. And you're right. It's like my wife has never exploded unprompted, right? There's always a gray area where it's like, the kids were doing this or whatever. But what I find maybe the trickiest to navigate is that moment of like mommy's being so fucking rude, of like, whether I've been there to see it or not, how do I respond in that moment? Because I've been accused by my oldest daughter of like, she's like, you and mommy just always agree with each other and take each other's side. Like, she said that to us before.
I always would also agree. I think you got to have a united front.
You gotta, right?
If anything, like we are the same thing. We are like a united front. Even if she steps out of line, and I'm hoping and I'm assuming when I step out of line, like she's got my back unconditionally. I have her back unconditionally. And so the only thing I will try to do is help with the, empathy, rupture and repair, explanation. I'm the partner that's slightly better at that sort of role playing and spending an ungodly amount of time talking through the why. So I'll assist in that regard. But if they're trying to, they don't really do this, but if they did try to get me to kind of like say like, that was so fucking mean. Like, what do you think? I'm like, well, I mean, I try to explain how it got there. I'm like, I'm not saying it's good, but do you see? Like,
yeah. And it doesn't usually take the form of like, hey, get on my side against mommy. It's more like an explanation of like, I did this and then she did this and then she did this. And like, sometimes, the other challenge with that, particularly if you weren't there, is like, well, you're 7, you're not a super reliable narrator here. Like, if I've seen it and I really feel like, oh, my wife didn't do a great job there, I'll tiptoe around it. I'll say things like, yeah, that seems really hard. Like, you and mommy are like just not getting along very well right now. But yeah, you can't ever throw them under the bus, I think. I do one tactic for when I see like something happening in a recurring way where it's like, I'll see my partner continuing to get into fights with one of my kids over kind of some version of the same thing. And this goes the other way too. Again, all this stuff goes this way. My wife, like, all of this is grounded in like both of us thinking that our partners are really good parents. And so we don't have to like get in there and fix their fuck ups any more than they do with us. And arguably less.
Right. We're just talking from the first person.
From the first person. This
is the thing you can do.
Right. Not my wife.
Not my what?
Perfect.
What?
No. Other people's shitty wives. But one thing that I'll do sometimes if I see something that's kind of becoming a pattern, usually if my wife's having trouble with it, it's also not super easy for me, but maybe just like something about the personality, like my personality is making it a little more that I can get on top of it, is I will just bring this up as something that I'm struggling with. Like if it's something I see is hard for a wife, I'll be like, I noticed that our kid these days, like she's doing this thing over and over and over again. And it's so frustrating. And I have to remind myself that like, she's doing it because of this. And then it's kind of better than saying like, why y'all keep fighting about this fucking shit, man? It's the same thing over and over. Yeah. You just kind of lump yourself into the situation, which is usually mostly true, Yeah.
That's a great technique in general with just like, unless it's like totally disingenuous where it's like, we really need to be working on, buying the right tampons. It's like,
I probably wouldn't go that good.
But,
it's an absurd example to illustrate the point. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you have something to say it, because I just lost my train of thought. But I do think, my wife and I had a conversation kind of earlier in this year where my wife said, I do feel like you and I are kind of still a little bit careful with each other. And I think that some of that is like, she's a therapist. We're doing this show. We're always trying to think about like the other person's perspective or not being unfair, whatever the fucking thing. And we're both kind of like a little bit conflict averse. But I think that you and your wife have done a better job maybe than we have of creating those back channels where you can a little more directly say like, you might want to throw in an apology for that one.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the technique of like the we is a technique for sure. I would kind of more just be like, cause I think we all like, we compliment sandwich each other all the time. She knows that I think she's the best mom in the whole world. I say it at the dinner table almost every night. Like, guys, we have the best mom in this family, blah, blah. Like, so I can just be like, and again, if it's dose, tact, timing, when am I going to say this? I say it the following day. Maybe we meet up for lunch. It's like, hey, babe, like, wasn't really cool. I think you got to work on this. Like, what can we do together to kind of like, it's obviously that this kid's bumming you out right now. It's a tough phase. And we know that like certain phases for certain ages are difficult for us. Like, I'm good at certain ages. She's good at certain ages. I can handle the psychological warfare of like manipulative, like, 5-year-olds, like 4-year-olds. Like that's not her forte. So we can talk about that. This episode is brought to you by the Milkless Patreon. If you want to keep listening, it's only going to cost $79.99 per month. We're going entirely offline, so you can no longer listen unless you pay $79.99 per month. Just kidding, it's fucking free. We're actually losing money on the episodes, but we love doing it for you. All we want is for you to tell a friend. Think about that one friend who listens to podcasts. They told you about serial podcasts. They told you about, and it's like, tell them about one.
Yeah.
And it's Milkless.
Just return the favor. The $79.99 does get you feet pics from Max. So if you're into that. Yeah.
Where it's just like, I don't know. It's not going to like, here's the thing. You're such a good guy and people like you so much. And I'm assuming your wife likes you that much too. It's scary to dip your toe in there, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the worst case if you just are like, yo, babe, like, that little thing, like, not sweet.
Yeah.
So, so what are we going to do? What are we going to work on it? Like, because what you can also do is like, what are some things that you actually need to work on? Because it might seem disingenuous if you're like, thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. I think that I run into this thing of being worried that like I work more hours, which means my wife is with my kids more hours in a day than I am. Not like it's not a huge gap the way it is in some families.
No, but you don't want to be the thing where like where you're coming home like, hey, let me tell you a fucking thing or two about raising a kid, okay? You fucking piece of shit.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, so I'm really cognizant of like, well, God, if I seem like the super calm, cool dad right now, but I'm fresh legs. Like she's been doing this all day. And there have been times too, where like early on, probably when our marriage, I've never felt like our marriage was in a bad place where I was worried about it, but there have definitely, every marriage has an ebb and flow where you're seeing eye to eye or you're not seeing so eye to eye.
Yeah.
There have been times in the past where I've been like, you're on your phone an awful lot around the kids. And that's like we're in a fight immediately. Yeah. But then also she's like, I'm ordering groceries. I'm like lining up the next play date. I'm doing all this shit you don't have to do. And it's like, fuck. Like, so I like all that stuff makes me a little gun shy. My wife and I have mutually identified it as like we just want to be able to be a little less careful around each other and not worry about like sometimes having a little bit of like a, cause that shit, ultimately you just get to the point faster and you like, you correct things better. So it's always like bringing it up at the right time with the right level of kindness, with the right level of humility that your experience as a parent is different than theirs. But that's something I want to get better at. It's something I want to do more of.
Well, also just like putting it all on the table. Well, again, I think I mentioned on the last episode that our couples therapist had suggested the dose, tact, timing. So one, what's the dosage? Are you overwhelming, your partner with it? The timing, is it the right time? Like, are you in the middle of doing chores? Are the kids like, grabbing at your ankles? And then the tact, like, how do you drop it? But also just like saying all that stuff on the, like everything that you just said, like, look, this feels weird coming from me. You're doing the majority of the parenting. Like I'm, having these thoughts about X, the phone, or, how this happened the other day. Like what our kind of marriage therapist had said is like, those are so important to, like, even when your marriage is good, to chat about, because like, again, I said it on the last episode, I really do think that we have one of the best marriages. We're like so pumped on each other. Everything seems like it's going great. Everyone's like, whoa, you guys are going to couples counseling? It's like, yeah, dude, like I go to the fucking gym once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Like my marriage isn't more important than my fucking pecs. Like, so it's super cool because what she had said is like, I'm so glad you guys are here because you guys are like crushing it. If you let these little death by 1,000 cuts build up over 20 years, not saying you would get a divorce, but like, that's why you see those divorces when the kids go to college. It's kind of like, you know what? You look in the mirror, you look at each other after like 30, 40 years of being married. You're like, I fucking hate you, dude. It's like all these little tiny things where it's like, they're not worth it. And it goes back to, I think the last episode we were talking about, Is it really worth the fight? It's not. Is the phone worth a fight? No. Okay, I wouldn't have handled that situation in that way. Is it worth the fight? No. But is it worth talking about? Probably. And so just to keep going down the marriage counseling thing, what I would do is like, because she said dose, tact, timing. Well, it was usually not the right time. Like, let's say something tiny minor happened about like the example I used before, I'll use it again, is like, I threw in a business idea I wanted to start in 2 years. I didn't get the response that I wanted. Did it
hurt your little feelings?
Yeah. So I was like, well, this isn't really that important. But it kind of like I had to do a swallow. You know, my mom was very supportive of all my ideas when I was a baby. So,
don't you want to be my mom too? My mom and my girlfriend and the mother of my children? Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote it down in my thing, and then we saw the counselor like once a month or once every 2 months. And she's like, how's everything going? I'm like, pretty good. And we were like, I got nothing. I mean, we're just like aces. I'm like, let me pull up my note. It was something from like 2 months before. I'm like, oh yeah, I got something. And we just like talk through these like minor little picadillos, but it's like, and then it would turn into a whole hour-long thing of like really unpacking it. And it was really fun. And, you know, part of it is like, Max, why do you need this fucking validation? Like, let's talk about that. And a lot of it was me. And then a lot of it was like, you know, Max's wife, can you like meet him halfway? Can you just, yeah, totally. Yeah, and it was like one of those things that like, it wasn't a fucking big deal. Yeah. But like, if you have a non-big deal, little stabby once every 2 months for 40 years, I don't know. Your mouth might get sour.
Yeah. Particularly if it's repetitive. If it's like the same, you know, different versions of the same little minor conflict.
And maybe it's like, oh, it's all, what if it's 90% my own shit? And I never brought it up because I thought it wasn't a big deal. But then I was internalizing it that it was my wife not supporting me like my mommy did. Yeah. And then it's like, oh shit, it is mostly me.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, and I like that distinction that it's not worth the fight, but it probably is worth the conversation. And like, not everything is worth anything. So sometimes there's just something my wife will do that'll annoy me, and I'll be like, let me just file that away, and I'll think about it in an hour when I'm calm. And I think about it in an hour, I'm like,
nothing like bringing it up 2 months later to the therapist.
That's really what you wanted.
It's fucking...
But I think that like the other valuable thing about that is if you never talk about it, if you never bring it up, then your story of what's happening is entirely your own concoction. And we all like make up the story of what's happening, right? And when you talk about it, your like personal narrative of why you've been so wronged runs up against her internal experience of what's happening. And suddenly you have a whole new story that you've built together. And like, this is true with my kids too. The other day, man, I was putting some stuff up in the attic, and the attic's above our garage. So you like climb these stairs in the attic above our garage. And my oldest likes to go up there with me. And so she was up there, and then I had to run back down and get something. And I come back out of the garage, and this like metal screw comes flying out of the garage and hits the hood of my car like a bullet. And I'm like, I think I did the why thing. I was like, why the hell would you do that? Like, I was so pissed because like, that's going to like, and she's like I can't even see her from the attic. She's just like, I didn't see the screw on the ground. I kicked it and then it flew out of the thing. And I was like, oh shit, you've done nothing wrong. But if I hadn't brought that up, it looked to me like she had just picked up a screw and thrown it at my car as hard as she could. And I think those kinds of things happen in our marriage or in the way we parent, like we watch each other parent our kids. And if you don't ever talk about it, all you have to go on is your narrative, which often takes the form of like, if you're mad, a little bit of like a worst case assumption of the other person's intentions or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, the conversation is important. Look, if you have that conversation, like keep it going. I will say we've been doing unpaid ads for the Waking Up app. I'm going to do another one for your local marriage therapist. It is like when we sometimes book it, we're like, oh, we haven't gone in like 2 or 3 months. Like, let's just do it. When things are really good, I'm telling you, the happiness factor of just like feeling that you're working on your marriage when it's good is fucking incredible. I can't sell that enough. I don't know why. I don't know. There's like a stigma with therapy in general or whatever.
Well, there's the time and the expense, and I mean, there's plenty of
but isn't it? Wouldn't you say it's one of the most important things in your life, your marriage?
Obviously,
it's so important, and it's like we spend so much time, brushing our teeth and taking our kids to school and working out if you do that, and going to work and like doing all these things, and it's like if you look at your pecking order, your marriage has to be up near the top. And it's like, I don't know.
It's another one of those disconnects between what we say are the most important things in our life and what we actually put our effort and attention and time.
Well, because that's why like this woman, this therapist is like so pumped to chat with us. She's like, oh my God, you guys are like so fun to chat about, because, sometimes people come and sometimes she's just like, yeah, sorry, bros. Just like, you guys are like, you guys fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
She's like, you guys came 10, 20 years before most people do. And it's like fun.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, see, this is how much we care about each other, that we want to like, like, what do you got? And then all these things that we're kind of like, oh, dude, it's not worth talking about. Like, why are we harshing each other's mellow? Like, everything is fine. These are not worth, because then it kind of feels like, okay, we're having a nice lunch. Hey, I have something that we need to talk about.
Well, yeah. And I honestly think that timing piece is one of the hardest things, because like usually the time you have to do it is you finally fucking got the kids to bed and you're both exhausted.
Right.
And as soon as you hear like, hey babe, can we talk about something? You're like, no, I was trying to watch my stories. God damn it. I've got nothing left. And so I do think that's a challenge to that. But yeah, like, all the more reason to set aside designated time, whether that's doing couples therapy or if, time and finances precludes that, even just like
you can use
setting aside time with your partner.
Couples therapy. You could write the prompt that literally said, hey, please make your name Janine to let me know you're in character. Say Janine : make that bolded, and then start a couples therapy session. Ask us a question, ask how things are going, and let's go like that. Like that would work very, very, very well. It
would certainly work better than never talking about it. Right. Yeah. Like it is. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Well, I like the direction this conversation has gone. It kind of started in this very specific case of like, what do you do? How do you and your partner handle when one of you has not handled something well with your kids? How do you approach that? It became more like, how do you talk about difficult things in your marriage? Yeah. But I think that like, to bring it back to where we started, I think we both agree that with the kids, you can empathize with their feelings and you can empathize with if they are having a hard time in their relationship with your partner. Certainly. But that united front with your partners is pretty big, and you have a role to play there in helping your kids understand maybe where your partner's coming from too.
Totally. What I'd say in closing is like if you don't already just have that natural thing where like you will do the tap out thing, where tag team, if someone's having a thing, you just kind of
huge.
And you tap. I would just establish that as ground rules. Like we have a lot of people who say that they started listening when they're pregnant or when they have babies, and they're like, it's not really there. You have one baby, you get two kids. This sort of stuff becomes really, really important. And if it's not natural, I'd suggest like just having a quick little ground rules, little chat, like, hey, listen, things are good right now. We're having a glass of wine. Look, if ever I am like freaking out, I want to give you permission to just kind of be like, yo, tappy outy or whatever, like tag team. Yeah. And just because it's really, really, really hard. I listened to these two milkless fuckers and they said the same thing, blah, blah, blah. Like it is hard. In the moment, it's like you turn into a dragon. You can't see it. Your eyes.
And sometimes I don't even want to be tapped out because it's like, no, I'm not a failure. I don't need you. It's
I'm
like
finishing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but like having that ground rules, it's almost like you're going to be entering this weird state of lack of empathy when you're angry or whatever. If that ever happens, like I give you permission to like give me a tap out. Because it's almost like we need to know that is there as like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's like you're in a movie and the wind is blowing and you can't see, but like, I remember, just reach out for my hand and I will be there.
Yeah.
Like when you see the third purple stone, reach out, it needs to be pre-established.
Yeah. Then, that's a good point. Yeah.
Then,
Yeah, so it's like, it's the united front, it's the tap out, and then it's finding some way, because you are co-parents. Like, you got to be able to talk about this shit. You don't have to do everything the same, but you got to be able to like get on the same page about the way you're parenting your kids. And if you are having a continuous ongoing struggle, that's like, maybe this is easier to put in the first person. If I were over and over fucking up something, tripping up on some like hang up I had, and that was making my kid's life harder or was making my kid feel bad about themselves,
You want to know that.
I'd want to know. I'd want my wife to have a way that she could tell me. And a big part of that for me too is like, it's that great, that I've probably said it on the show before just because I think it's so funny. It's that actor, Bradley Whitford, who's a great actor. He's in Get Out. He's in The West Wing. And he says, anytime I've ever gotten a director from a note, a note from a director, I've gone through three things. Fuck you. I suck. Okay, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, and the only thing that's happened as I've gotten older is I do them fast. He's like, I still do them. I just move through them really quickly. And so part of that is on the receiving end as a parent. When your spouse comes to you like, hey, I think this is a little bit of a struggle. Just try to not give them the fuck you too hard. Try to not wallow in the I suck for too long, and get to the okay, what as quickly as you can, because this shit's hard. We need each other.
And also the one thing I'd also say is like, I've done it. My wife is way better at it when I need a tap out. She's like, Daddy, go hang out.
Go do a thing somewhere else.
Go read your book on math. Go read your numbers, sweetie baby. And she's mad. I've been like, babe, to the bedroom. Like, you need to chill. Like, I can do a better job. And again, in all fairness, she has tapped me out more than I've tapped her out. So it's not, I'm not saying, so I've probably done it a couple times. She's done it 5 or 6 times to me. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I could do a better job of like how I say it, and just like, hey, all right, sweets, let's. And again, this is like a fucking free pass. It's like a coupon cutout for Mother's Day. It's like, or Father's. Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I'm fucking exhausted. I'm like,
I'm off the hook.
Ragging out the kids. Like, take a fucking pass.
Yeah.
You know.
Anyway,
solved it.
Good shit, man. All right. Well, stay frosty out there. I'll check you next time.
Sounds good, Matty Snails.
Oh, fuck you.
This episode of Milkless is brought to you by Violet Archer in the case of the Purple Martin. Thank you. Bye.